The title of my sermon this morning is The Voids That God Fills. And, it turns out human beings are really fickle creatures. For me, I get to watch everybody. I see hundreds of people a day, and just looking at them and talking with them and, slightly understanding them, you realize that there are all kinds of kinds out there. And we need those all kinds of kinds to fill voids in our own life that we can't fulfill ourselves. And then we fill them with, ancillary things like jobs, sports. Jobs give us this feeling of accomplishment, and then sports give us something that, feels like we've conquered something. But relationships, I think, are things that make us feel the most whole, give us the most purpose, and give us the most meaning. They complete us in a sense. I agree with that. I think that relationships are things that complete us, and I think that most people would agree with that. Kyle and Harper are a huge reason that I get out of bed in the morning. There's not a lot of great things out there right now, but you wake up and Harper's slapping you in the face, and it's amazing. You're getting slapped in the face by this 2-year-old, and you think it's the most wonderful thing that's ever happened. I think the problem starts when we start focusing on the wrong relationships. I know especially when we're younger and we have these dreams that somebody's going to come in and sweep us off our feet, and they're going to make the rest of our lives a beautiful masterpiece. And I think we can all respectively agree that those people don't exist. And even Kyle and all his wonderful nature does not complete me. But he does fill a particular void that I have as a human being. There are lots of other voids. Not because I'm a needy person. I feel like anybody who would know we say, I'm pretty self-sufficient. I don't need people to, make me whole. But that's what I used to say. Now I realize that relationships are literally what makes you whole. Makes you feel good. And this comes from being created for a specific purpose, which was to love and be loved. God created us to love him and be loved by him. And when I find that it's difficult to public speak, it's easy if you pick a topic that you know a lot about. So the topic that I chose to talk about today is my family, because I know a lot about them. Probably too much. Each particular person fills a different void in my life. So we'll talk about these voids and these specific relationships and how they evolve into the charismatic ending that I'm going to get to. It was really funny because when I was younger, I told my mom that I was going to speak one day. I never actually meant to speak because I don't like this, obviously. But I told her, and I was like, it's going to be, "Why are you so stupid?" was going to be the topic of my sermon. Because when you're younger and you're arrogant and you're like, these are easy decisions to make, right or wrong. And as you get older and you realize that, the decisions you make aren't so easy. Turns out in my older years I've learned that, and I've kind of mellowed out a little bit. And so this is an entire sermon about mushiness. And we're going to start with my dad, actually, because he's the oldest. And so, what a guy. If you know him personally, you know. I shouldn't even have to sit up here and tell you the wonderfulness of Brian Gerald, but I will. The Bible has a lot of good things to say about fathers. And it shows you how to be a good father. And I believe that my dad fits the descriptions in the Bible to a T. The biggest thing that I can say about my dad is that he's been my helper through my entire life. He has helped me with everything, and he's been my protector. And one of the best verses on fathers is this, and it's not particularly on fathers, but it says, "Do not be terrified." In Deuteronomy 29 through 31, it says, "Do not be terrified and do not be afraid. The Lord your God, who is going before you, will fight for you, as he did for you in Egypt, before your very eyes and in the wilderness. There you saw how the Lord your God carried you, and as a father carries his son, all the way you went until you reached this place." The Israelites were pretty stubborn and unruly and people, and I have been stubborn and unruly at some point in my life toward my father. But the Israelites were not getting out of Egypt without some help. And they were not going to defeat the Anakites without some help. And a good father is a pretty fantastic helper. My dad taught me how to shoot a basketball. He was the one who laid out my resume for me and told me what to wear on, interviews. He fixed my dryer. He fixes my car. He is a constant helper for me. And it has been completely steady my entire life. My mother, on the other hand, we'll get to her and she'll love this, because I have labeled her in this sermon the disciplinarian. And I know you would never guess that. But it's totally true, and my brother and I have this running joke. And we say it's a joke, but we completely think that it's 100% true. So when we were younger, we would always just assume that mom knew everything that was going on. We joked that she had this, one-way telephone connection where she called God up and she says, "Hey, what are my kids doing?" And he goes and spills all of our dirty secrets. We tried so desperately to hide those secrets, but they always got out, and she always knew. And there was either two things that were going to happen. You were going to get your butt busted, or she was going to give you a lecture. For me, would have rather had my butt busted, because mom has this thing where she locks you in the car on a drive somewhere, and you can't get out. And she just goes on and on and on. There's no end in sight until finally we park somewhere and you're like yanking on the door as fast as you can to get out. But in all those dealings with my mom, she taught me so much about relationships, and she used all the mistakes that I made or the disappointments that I had toward her, and she turned them into learning experiences. Those lectures were just, paths of direction for my life. She always disciplined in love and kindness. And I tell my mom all the time that she's a Proverbs 31 lady. Everyone knows what the Proverbs 31 lady is, the most wonderful human being to ever exist. The perfect mom, the perfect wife, the perfect daughter. But there's a specific verse in Proverbs 31, 26 and 28, and it says, "She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her." This is my mom. Faithful instruction has always been on her tongue, and she has disciplined difficultly at times, but has shaped and taught me to who I am because of her. The dealings that I have are because of her. The relationships that I've been able to are because of her and her faithful instruction. And then there are my two brothers and a sister, Corey and Dan and Alicia. It goes Corey and Alicia and Dan. And the cool thing about Corey is he's about 7 years older than I am, which is a perfect age, because then I get to see him do life and then copy exactly what he's doing. So he goes and, gets married, and it looks great. And I'm like, that looks good. Let's go get married. And so I go get married. And then he has his first kid. And I'm like, that looks good. So I'm going to have my first kid too. And then he goes and buys a house. And I'm like, I can do that because he did that. I'm going to go buy a house. And then he has his second kid. And I'm like, it's probably time for another one. Just follow exactly what he's doing. To a T, because it's perfect, right? And he gives me some incredible direction and mold to follow. He's such an excellent example to me. He gets to be a little bit older. I get to watch him and I get to learn. My sister, has anyone ever read the Love Languages book? So, the love languages, there's a bunch of different love languages, and you can take this test. And it says whether you're a gift giver, or you like personal time, or you like acts of service, or words of affirmation. Well, if my sister was to take that test right now, there's a section, and it's called gift giving, and all of her points would be right in that section. She outdoes me on everything. Everything that I try to give her, she gives back tenfold. There is never a time in my life that I don't. And it's not expected. She just does it. She's always there, always constant. If I call her in emergency, she's coming. If I call her and say, I need help, she's coming. She ordered me flowers for my own flower bed for fun. I can't keep up with that. She is always constant. And then there's Dan. So he's coming down the stairs from the sermon last week, and I start crying because I'm a big old wimp. And I'm so, so, so proud of him because he did such a good job. And Dan has been my bud for my entire life. My best friend, right? I remember I used to beat up on him as a child because I was bigger, and he's obviously a few years younger than I am. And so I'm beating up on him, and he starts fake crying. And then Mom comes up, busts me with the belt. He's over there crying in the corner, or he's over there laughing in the corner because he knows exactly what he's done. And so it went on like that for years, and then all of a sudden, bam, Dan's ginormous. Don't know, he's 6'2" over here. And now I try to wrestle him, and he picks me up upside down and walks me around. Brothers or sisters are amazing. And Proverbs 17:17 says, a friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a difficult time. And then Ecclesiastes 4:9-11, it says, 2 people are better than one because they get more work done. If one falls, the other can help him up. But it is bad for the person who is alone and falls because no one is there to help them. If 2 lie down together, they will be warm, but a person alone will never be warm. Guys, life is difficult. This whole adult thing, not my style. Don't like it. But I have these 2 brothers and this sister who make me feel so loved. Dan knows all my flaws, all of them. He's sit there and watched me firsthand make huge amounts of mistakes. Does not matter to him. He still thinks I'm amazing. They are always there by my side. Always. And I say the last 2 because they're very near and dear to my heart, like they all are. But these ones I didn't know I needed until these voids that I had, I didn't know that I had until I was older. And because, who needs men when you've got all these other family members filling the voids for that particular one? Like, who needs him? Except turns out it's true, I do need him. I needed a partner, someone who was going to be a part of me, someone who brought skills and personalities and knowledge that I didn't have, somebody to, be there even when he doesn't want to be. And that happens a lot because I'm really difficult to deal with. Cause love is different for me than all the other, relationships that I've described. And I never told him this, so I'm going to sit up here so I don't have to look at him and I can just look at you while I tell these things. The biggest thing that Kyle brings to me is a peace. And I don't know if there's a person out there that does that for you, but it is the most amazing feeling to know that you don't have to worry about anything. You'll never have to worry about him going off and doing stupid things. He's always there and will always be there. With my child, he's the father of my children. I never have to worry about my kids because he's a perfect father, an amazing father. He brings such peace to my life that I don't have to worry. And fear is one of the things that I've struggled with throughout my entire life. It's like every episode imaginable that you think about the people that you love and these things happening, and there's just a fear. And it's something I've dealt with because, there's, perfect love casts out fear. And that's what he does for me. And Harper, the little bambino, kids are rough. They're difficult. They poop all over the place. In the shower 2 days ago, just hanging out playing cars in there. She's just playing cars. There's poop right in the shower. She throws her temper tantrums, goes down on the floor, But there she is every morning, slapping me in the face, right there. And there's just this unconditional love that I have for her. Nothing that she could do could take away the love that I have for her. Nothing. She could be the worst baby known to mankind, and there would still be love. In all these relationships, it turns out as hard as I try, I'm not a perfect mother. My love is not perfect, and I mess up all the time. My father, my mother, my brothers, my sister, Kyle, they're not perfect. And their relationships are not perfect. My dad isn't always readily available whenever I need him. My mom, to this day, she'll tell you that she has over-disciplined me multiple times. My brothers and my sister, though they are there for me all the time, sometimes it may be 3 days late, or maybe it's not exactly what I needed at that point in time. It's just something that, they felt that I might need, but in all reality, I didn't. They don't always make the best decisions. Kyle, though I think he's perfect, is not perfect. He probably annoys me more than any other person on this planet on a daily basis for fun because he enjoys it. But even in this love that I have for Harper, it's still not perfect. And the only thing that I can say to all those is, but God. Because in Hebrews 13:6, so we can confidently say, the Lord is my helper. In Hebrews 12:6, says, for the Lord disciplines the one he loves and chastises every son whom he receives. Psalms 23:3, he says, he leads me in a path of righteousness for his name's sake. And the verse that, is used all the time, but it can never be said too often is 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8. And it says, love is patient and love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. It does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, and it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. Love never fails. I just named off 7 people who fill voids in my life that I need as a human. Things that I think that are important to me and things that I need to feel fulfilled by. 7 people. There's a lot of people in this world who don't have 7 people. They don't even have 1 person. They don't even have 2 person. I am extremely blessed for what God has given me. But there are lots of others who do not have what I have, who do not have the security that I have in my husband, who do not have that unconditional love of fathers and mothers that give them growth and guidance and love. And even with my relationships and how special and important they are to me, they are not perfect. And if I sit here and I wait on one of them to completely fulfill what I have and what I need, I'm going to be left disappointed. I'm going to be left feeling a little bit empty, because at the end of the day, what I need is a perfect love and a perfect relationship. And the only person who can give that to me is God. Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9, and he says, have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous? Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. And then in Psalms 145, said, the Lord is righteous in all his ways, and his loving toward all he has made. The Lord is near to all who call on him. So I call on my brothers and sisters, and their timing may not be perfect. What I need from them and what they give me may not line up, but God's love, and when I call on him, it's perfect every time. Every time that I am in desperate need of a word that I cannot get from anybody else, all I have to do is call on him, and he sends me the perfect scripture or the perfect word. What he does for me is perfect. And it's something that I cannot get from this world. If I'm waiting for this world to give me all that I need, I won't get it. And you see that all over, because there's people who are desperate for something to fill the voids that they have in their lives. And they reach out and they try to fill it with people. And then they go and we have a huge drug problem, because people are hurting and they're in need. And they don't want to feel the pain anymore. So they take these drugs to forget the pain that they're feeling, because they're empty. And they have so many voids that need filled. I believe that God gives us these relationships on earth as a manifestation of his love. They're important, but they're not perfect. I believe if we turn to our Creator and work on our understanding of him and who he is and his love in us, we will find perfect fulfillment. If you put God's perfect love in Google, And it'll give you, thousands of options, and you click on the first one, and in those thousands of options you click on the first one, and then there's hundreds of verses that talk about his perfect love. All you have to do to recognize what his love is to us is read the Bible. It's all in there. The perfect fulfillment of your life is right in there. Anytime that I have felt completely overwhelmed by this world, God has been there. And I think that if we look to him and who he is and what he can give us and what we can give him, we'll find perfect fulfillment on this earth. So I'm going to close out in prayer. God, thank you. Thank you for letting me get through that, God. It's not something I enjoy, but I know that, it's something that I felt called to do when was asked. And I'm sorry for if I've put it out there incorrectly, but God, thank you. Because oddly enough, if it didn't speak to anybody else, it speaks to me, because I know that it just rambled out, but it was your perfect word. Thank you that whenever I need you, you're always there. Wherever I go, there you are. Whenever I call to you, you call back down to me. Thank you for giving me the perfect fulfillment of my life with the people you have surrounded me with, but also with you. God, I want to pray for those people who are lacking hope, who need love, who need somebody there that will give them what they deserve, because they're human beings, and the intention that you created us for was to love and be loved. God, heal their hearts. Let them understand that you're there for them whenever they need you. Whenever they call, you're going to answer. And when you don't, it is still in your perfect love and your perfect timing for their perfect fulfillment. God, thank you for letting us be together today, letting us get to worship and, spend time and love you, God. Thank you for all you've given us. Hope everyone is safe. Let them have safe drives home, and let them know, God, that you're always there. Amen.